Tottenham's changed over the years. There's still a sense of community, and I can't think of anywhere else that's tighter than Tottenham. Doesn't matter where you're from. Wood Green, Bruce Grove, N17. Tottenham's Tottenham, innit? Recently, since lockdown's lifted, my favourite thing to do is riding my bike. I like seeing how the community's coming back together. People are out chatting, having conversations, maybe having conversations they've never had before. But I like the village. It's vibrant. So, I'm a runway and catwalk trainer, and I learn everything I know from Clive Johnson. I used to sit and watch him teach his classes in awe. And then I did a few more classes at the chocolate factory. And after that, I thought, I can do this. So I did. Just community shows at first. But then there was a woman called Rose Lawrence, and she used to have a little dance school and do little talent shows and that for the kids in the community. And I'd always do her fashion, and she would always send people to me. And then I did a hair and beauty show for Dyke and Dryden. Do you remember the curly perm? Yeah. So from then I always realised I had a bit of a talent, you know. It was round about that time that I fell pregnant with my daughter, and I took about 4 years out. That's when I went into a bit of a decline. I think looking back on it, I was depressed. It became about survival, you know. How am I going to survive? I've got no income. I've got a child. My parents, they wanted to help, but I just didn't want to put that pressure on them. So I did this business course. I had this idea for this business plan that I was going to set up this talent agency, and it was going to have dancers and models and magazines and everything. And I wrote for days. I wrote for days and days and days. I mean, my file was like this thick. And I took it in, and they said, no, you can't do it. You've got to narrow it down. So I went back, redid my costings, came back, and they said, you can't do it. We've run out of funding. So I said, what do I do now? What do I do now? And I started dating this guy that I'd met on the course. He was a chef, and he had this big show to do at the South African Embassy. And he wanted me to come and do the sort of, the show side of it while he was doing all the chefing side. And I was also doing another show for this other woman. So one day, I think it was about 98, and I remember there was no internet back then. And I had all these contacts, I had about 400 contacts, and I had 300 letters on my sideboard, all ready to go out. And he come in one day, and he looked at me, and he said, you ain't doing nothing if I ain't involved. And he took all those letters, put them on the floor, drenched them with water, and he battered me that day. Battered me. Bounced me all around the kitchen, spilled out onto the street. Neighbours came out. Luckily, my daughter wasn't there. Afterwards, I cleaned myself up and went to rehearsals. He followed me, came in, got me. We sat in the car. He was telling me how sorry he was. He'd lost his temper, blah, blah, blah. I was like, look, I can't do this now. And he got angry again. And as I'm leaving and I'm walking around the front of the car, he accelerates, runs me over, breaks my ankle. I had to put a cast on. So after that, my friend said, don't worry, I'll redesign your costume, which he did. And I did the show with a cane. And then he came back to the house. I called my sister and a few people from around my ends, as we say. And they gave him a very nice warning and told him not to bother me again. Never saw him again after that. He disappeared. It wasn't long after that my friend Jennifer invited me to her church. I said, look, I don't do the church thing, it's just like a joke. But anyway, I went and I ended up staying for 10 years. And that was the start of my journey, really. Very important time in my life until I met my husband, and he was a bastard as well. Tried to do the same thing, but I recognised the signs. And it was hard at that time because one, you're in the church, two, you're married, three, you got kids. So I stuck it out for the kids. But it just got worse and worse and worse. It never got any better. So yeah, that's my journey with domestic violence. It's also been my spiritual journey. I remember that time when I was really depressed and I couldn't eat and didn't wash. My confidence went right down. Just used to sit and stare out the window. I almost got admitted to St. Anne's. And I remember saying to my mum, and she just said, sometimes you just have to get on with it. Just get on with it. And I said to her, look, I know you shove your feelings under the carpet, but other people have different ways. I think that's the older black woman's way of thinking. Don't ask anybody anything. Just shove it under the carpet and get on with it. But it's the trauma that I didn't want to pass down to my kids. Because if they see that happen once, they'll think it's all right. It's not. So, where I'm at now is I love life, isn't it? Just love life. Try and live with people peaceably. I want to motivate. I want to encourage. I want to. I don't want people to. I want people to make better decisions or to know that they have a choice. And if they make wrong decisions, that they can change it. I mean, look at me and my business plan now. I'm doing it now, isn't it? I mean, obviously not all of it, but I mentor 50 girls from all over the world. I'm teaching. I do my shows. Yeah, it's good. You know, we don't have many leaders in our community, albeit that I'm one of them. But they don't bring me to the podium because I'm too gobby, innit? But I know that when I see them out there, all the people that I've helped, the kids that I've helped, I mean, I might not get a mention, but I know that I had an input, that I watered that seed and it grew into something. Yeah, I want to motivate. And I genuinely love what I do.